The name of my project is Family Secrets. My brother was the firstborn. Then my sister was born, and she was diagnosed with Down syndrome. When my mother was pregnant with me, she was institutionalized and put away in a place called Willowbrook. No one ever told me. I didn't know she was my sister for a really long time. How do we become the unique person we are meant to be? I am the only one left in my family of origin. Are the secrets mine to tell? I came to recognize the pervasive anxiety and sadness that seemed to accompany me no matter what else was happening. I don't blame my parents. They did the best they could with what was given them. What I do regret is the tyranny of secrecy. No one ever told me what was true. I learned to draw when I was very young. Being an artist saved my life. It gave me an arena in which to examine all these difficult things creatively. I finally felt ready to face fear and sadness and look at what had happened to my sister and our family. One needs support and guidance to do hard things. And most of all, you have to trust your intuition. I had the idea to make a timeline in order to look carefully at everything that had happened. I started with words, plotting the chronology from my brother's birth to my sister's death. I listed the events I remembered that seemed important, and one thing led to another. Imagine my surprise when an acquaintance told me he had worked at Willowbrook, where my sister had been. And then someone gave me this article that appeared. When I started to add images, that's when the experiences and memories jostled one another. I was recalling long buried occurrences that I had completely forgotten or could never talk about. It turns out that I've been working on this my whole life, that all the paintings and drawings I had done were on some level trying to figure out the clues to the secrets that I was not told about or were trying to find out. An example is when I drew the first frame of the timeline, I noted that when I was 3 years old, a 12-year-old cousin came to visit and tried to have sex with me. Talk about suppressing memory. From then on, I never wanted to go visit that family or see that cousin. But no one ever mentioned it, and I didn't remember. And what about this? Long before he met my mother, my father's father committed suicide. My father never spoke about it. He never mentioned it once. I don't want to give the impression that all the stories on the timeline are sad and full of remorse. While it's true that my family of origin is gone, and many of my friends and lovers have departed, in fact, the timeline allowed me to recall and relive many joyful adventures, and I always made art about whatever was happening. And my subject matter? Women's lives, and the attempt to make meaning out of a world that often appears chaotic. When I started doing the timeline, I had no idea what the final form would be. It would have to be some kind of sequential narrative. I was invited to make new work for a show. It was the perfect opportunity to do something from the timeline. I gathered all the stories and looked at all the drawings. It was clear that the time had come for me to bring them together into some form that would make sense. Big surprise when it turned out that the ambivalence was almost crippling. To make the private public, whatever anxiety or tension I might have had preparing for an exhibit and experimenting with new technology, this was completely overwhelming. Here's the work on exhibit. It's printed on paper and folded to read like a book. Here you could see the size of it. So this is the sequence of images for the piece, Family Secrets. It's a glimpse of what the work will be like as I continue with this. The last image of the piece is of my mother looking very pensive, and hands using an eraser shield to try to make something perfect. So the alarm that one feels at facing difficult subject matter, I think, is something that we all share. I know that we all work very hard doing difficult things, and I wish you all support and love and courage.